Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Monaco Grand Prix. Now, we see Charlie on pole for the second time in 2 seasons and his teammate on the front row joining him. This is going to be a great start to this is going to be a great Monaco Grand Prix. What do you think, Rick? And
Yeah, I mean, it's lining up to be a very good race. We saw a competitive qualifying between the two Red Bulls. They were some distance ahead of third place, Snotty. But we will have to see. It might be a competition between the two Red Bulls as to see who does what. They are both running two separate strategies now. Everyone on the mediums, I believe, except Harry, who's opted for the hards to start with. So he's obviously going for a different strategy, potentially a one-stopper. Um, we'll have to see. I mean, it is a one stop anyway, so or a predicted one stop anyway. So maybe Harry's going for the overcut here and see if he can pull enough of a gap when Passion Fruit comes into pit to do it. But we never know. We'll see. But yeah, mediums for everyone except for Harry. Should be a good race.
yeah, this is going to be a very good race. And I didn't even pick up that Harry had hard, so it's glad that you did. So it's going to be very split strategy. Majority of the people are on the mediums, and only one person on the hards, which is Harry, like you did say. But this is going to be very interesting. Harry is probably going to be pushing not so hard on the hards. He probably is trying to look at the long game, look at what can he do, and this potentially looking at his first win here if all things go well for him today. Hopefully, I'm not giving up the commentator's curse again. But here we go then. As the drivers are lining up onto the grid, the two Mercedes will be the last two to synchronize the start off of the lights. As Costas is now disqualified and starts P3 in this race. Jamie P4, Tyrone P5, Carl P6, who retired at the start of qualifying. Rick, this is all over to you, buddy.
And here we go. The five lights are on, and it's lights out. Oh, not yet. It's lights out. Away we go. And that's a brilliant start from Charlie. Look at that. The getaway. And it's a great start from Snotty as well. He's already taken P2, but he's cut it a little bit. The McLaren of Jamie comes into P3. Charlie stays P1. Kilo's bumped up a position into P5. Tyrone's dropped one. Bradley stays at the back. It's very close between Harry and the Mercedes behind him, which is giving him chase. Jamie's managed to pull away a little bit. He's pulling up on P2 Snotty, who's also pulling up to Passion Fruit a little bit. Passion Fruit needs to.
And Tyrone's gone right into the barriers, and he tried braking a bit too late and has failed to do so. That has lost him and cost him his front wing now, giving Bradley that P6 slot.
Wow. I mean, look at that. He's already built up a 1.8 second gap to P2 has Charlie. And now there's a 0.7 gap from Jamie P3 to P2. So that might be a contest to watch for. But Harry is giving him real chance.
And Costas has been given a 3-second time penalty for cutting a corner. I think turn one did it, and then he did it in that chicane area. That is very crucial for him in his race today. Will he be able to get rid of that 3-second time penalty? It's only the start of the race, so anything can happen. And Jamie, I'm sure he'll be hunting for Costas right now. But at the moment, Harry has dropped 2 positions to the people in front of him. Not the greatest start in the world, but he is on the hards. It's not the greatest compound to be starting on. But once you get these babies lit up, they are a great race tire to be on. I'm not quite sure how they're going to be feeling at the start, but I'm sure at some point in the Grand Prix, he will be feeling like he's faster than the rest of the grid. Jamie currently going really slow. This is giving Harry a great opportunity to be catching up right now. He's only 5 tenths off of Jamie, and Carl closing up behind Harry and Bradley. The two Mercedes closing up behind as Bradley goes purple sector 1, but he doesn't really have much traffic in front of him. So surely, he does have quite a bit of traffic in front of him, but he's not really giving it the fight that he should be at this current moment in time. Tyrone now with a 30.86 to the next car in front of him. That front wing, that what he did there, that really cost him there, and it was a ballsy move. But we learn from our mistakes and we move. But very crucial, the two Hasses, one of them having a great start, but getting a penalty, and the other, and Costas is. Oh, and he's serving. I'm pretty sure he's serving a penalty. As now Charlie with a 15 point. I think that was a 15.1.
Yeah. Wow. And Harry's just gone for the overtake. Jamie's got slowed by Snotty going into the pits, and it gave Harry the opportunity to go for the overtake, which he took gladly. Jamie is low on ERS here, so he couldn't fight it very much. Harry's tires are now in good temperature. Jamie's going to have a lot more grip coming out of the corners. You can see just how close he's getting to the back of that Red Bull, but he's managed to stay out of contact, which is good. And you'll see the grip coming out of the corners, but we'll have to see if he can maintain the speed here, because it looks like Harry's pulling away. And he's got the two Mercedes behind him as well, fighting for P3. It could be a bit of a DRS train here when it does eventually open up, but the real eye-opener here is Charlie's already built up a 5-second gap, a 4.9-second gap to his second place Harry. So
yeah. Oh no! And Cole, is that Cole?
He's spun. Yeah, it's Kilo. He's spun.
It's one of the Mercedes, and that's Cole. He spun. No, that is not good for what Cole is wanted, and I'm sure that's not how he wanted to have his race at this moment. But Costas, oh god, he thought he could try and get rid of that penalty, but it hasn't worked, and all it's done is just giving him a bigger gap to the car in front, and it's cost him loads now.
Yeah, I don't think there was any real need to pit there. I think he could have just waited till the round of pit stops and tried to come up with the gap. Use the tyres that he's on to produce a gap that's bigger than 3 seconds. So when he does pit, it will come up. But yeah, as you said, it's a strategy call that's cost him dearly. But we see here the Mercedes of Bradley catching up to McLaren, but it looks like Jamie's actually starting to get away here, which is exactly what you'll want to do. But Harry has now built up a 3-second gap to Jamie, so he can now sort of mind his own business, try and nurse those tyres to a good place so that he can stay out longer than Charlie and potentially go for the overcut that we were discussing earlier.
Yeah, as he currently is. Oh, and that Mercedes of the Bradley, he's touched that wall like Costas did in qualifying. Will this cost Bradley? And that's now gone. And that's both Mercedes in the mud at the current moment. He is going to pit. He has lost his full front wing. And this is Monaco for you, ladies and gentlemen. One wrong over. And Jamie, I'm sure he'll be glad to see Bradley in the pits and not behind him now. This has given Jamie a very good opportunity to escape from the Mercedes and the Haas.
He's got a 5-second penalty as well for speeding in the pit lane.
Who, Bradley?
Yeah.
So there you go, people. Oh, and that Haas getting awfully close there to the Mercedes or Bradley. But we'll have to see what Costas can do. Tyrone now given a penalty for corner cutting. This is so both Hasses now have that penalty. Monaco is a very challenging track. Like I said, it's going to be very, very hard to face and get your head down and just crack on with it. But the only people who haven't really made a mistake is the three up front at this current moment in time. Carl, I don't think he's got any damage, and I think that's good for him, but he has to now start pushing, or at least maintain this gap, or even try to bridge that gap to Jamie.
Yeah, I don't know what's going through Jamie's head here, whether he wants to go for those top 2 spots or whether he wants to just sort of nurse his own race and make sure he brings the car home in P3. Whatever the result, it will be good for him. The other two, however, I don't know if it's so straightforward, because Harry is closing in on.
Oh, and that Mercedes rear end is stepping out there at the final corner as he headed onto that pit straight. But geez, that Mercedes had a snap of oversteer and he almost went round, but managed to save it.
And there he goes on the overtake. He's overtaken Costas, which, I wonder what's going on here with Costas. Has he picked up some damage or anything like that? Because he's on the soft, so he's on a much, much faster tyre than the hards of Bradley ahead of him. But I'm not so sure what's happening there. But yeah, as I was saying, Harry, he could potentially close the gap here if he wanted to. But whether he's just conserving tyre degradation, we shall wait and see. But it'll be interesting as to what the two do with the strategy here.
Yeah, that definitely is true. I mean, we've seen Harry. He's starting to bridge that gap and then somehow loses it. It's now blue flags. I saw the blue flags for a split second, but I don't know what's going on there. Tyrone in the pits now, but that you can see for some reason Harry can just find the time in the first and second sector, but then just somehow loses it all in the third, and then he's redoing it all over each lap. I mean, has he got a setup preferably designed for sectors 1 and 2?
I mean, maybe what we're seeing here is the difference between yellow flag here again. The house is getting into a bit of a tussle. We're seeing a difference between the hard and the medium compound tire here. Now the time fluctuating from about 4.5 to 5 seconds sort of range here is about the difference you'd see from the hard compound and the medium compound tire. Now it's been 6 laps, so the medium should still be completely fine. But the fact that Harry is being able to even close down a little bit on these hard compound tires shows you A, how good of a race tire this tire is, and B, the fact that his pace is still good enough to keep that gap on a technically slower tire. So when he does eventually pit, Charlie eventually does pit, it gives Harry a shoe-in to perform the overcut here. So we'll have to wait and see whether he's got the pace to overcut him.
Well, yeah, that is very true. I mean, if I look at what it is to leader, currently to leader, I don't actually know what the pit loss around Monaco is, but I'm preferably assuming it's somewhere in the 30 seconds pluses. I'm assuming, but if that is the case, that would put not Preston, Charlie behind Carl. Sorry, can't think of the names, but behind Carl for this race, and it could really damage Charlie's race. But just remember, Carl has to nurse these tires, or he hasn't even pitted yet. Sorry, I was looking at the wrong Mercedes there for a second. I was about to start saying that the Mercedes would have to nurse his hards to the end, but that is very true for Bradley, though. He will have to nurse his hards to the end, but because Carl is one of 4 people who haven't actually pit yet and changes their tire compounds. He's effectively still within this at this current moment in time. He's just got a 26.2 gap to get to the to the leader.
Yeah. I mean, presumably, Bradley is going to the end here, so he's going to have to try and nurse the tyre somehow. And overtaking is difficult on this circuit, so if he just parks the car in the right place in the corner without getting too aggressive with it, then it should be okay to defend his place. But again, 5-second penalty for Snotty here. It depends on whether Bradley has the defensive ability to sort of park his car just where he needs it. He can't park it on the apex. He needs to give the car space. Whether he has straight line speed of those Red Bulls to potentially keep up with them in sector 1, for example. That's the question we should be asking. And just a little a side note here: Harry's chase to P1 has dropped now into the 3 second territory. It's dropped now below 4 seconds, and so this is what I mean when we say that the hard compound is very good as a race tire, and the fact that he's even able to keep it around 4 seconds means that when Passion Fruit eventually does go into box, Harry's strategy opens right up to where he can develop about a 25-second gap, or 25, let's say 30-second gap, so that he can pit and then come out just ahead of Charlie.
Yeah, I mean, this is amazing stuff for Harry as well. But I've just looking at data-wise in terms of what Harry has been doing, and his best lap so far is a 10th quicker than Charlie's best lap. So, I'm just currently looking at data-wise, and, last lap, he put in a 16.1, and then if I look at Charlie, he put in a 16.2. So he only really gained a 10th on that lap on Charlie. But Charlie, if I'm looking at his times, and at the start he started to do well. He put in a 122.4, and then put in 1.15s all the way up until lap 6, which then it went from 116s to now. But did Jamie pit?
Yeah, Jamie did Yeah. Him and Kilo both pitted for their stop here onto the hard tyres.
Very interesting choice to pit early, maybe trying to perform that undercut. And is that the Mercedes of Carl? Yes,
Yes, it is.
Monaco curse of losing his front wing now. This is not what he needs right now. He was doing perfectly fine. He did spin, but he didn't have any damage. And this is given, I think, no, this is going to give Tyrone a chance to probably unlap himself as he probably gets, as he's about to get lapped for I think for the first time. Yeah, it looks like he's about to get lapped for the first time for the upcoming leaders, Charlie and Harry. But just before that, I was a bit shocked because I wasn't quite sure what was going on with Bradley. But if I look at Bradley's lap times, at the start he was putting in 1:17, so he was about 2 seconds slower than the two Red Bulls, and then he was putting in his best lap time was a 1:14.9, which I think is still currently the best time if I'm wrong. But yeah, and then looking at Jamie's, he's putting in the same lap times as Bradley as well. And then we look at Costas. He did from lap 3 all the way up until lap 9, and he was putting in 1:18. So effectively, they're all lapping around about the same pace, but apart from the two Red Bulls, who are about unstoppable at this current moment in time with their pace, putting in like the 1:16s and 1:15s, and it's quite amazing. But you have to think, if Charlie's best time is a tenth slower on mediums compared to Harry, who is on the hards, you'd think that that potentially what's it called, that Harry will be a lot faster than Charlie on the hards when he goes to pit, and when Harry goes to pit he'll be on the mediums.
Yeah, and he'll be on the faster compound, but also they have to nurse those tyres as well. It depends how late he chooses to pit here, because now when Passion Fruit does pit, he has that one lap when Charlie goes into the pit lane to obviously build up the gap, but the lap after, when Charlie comes out of the pit, that out lap, that warm up lap to warm up his hard tyres, it's going to take him longer to warm up those tyres from cold to into the perfect window than potentially Harry's mediums. So he could actually stay out for an extra lap after Charlie's in lap and build up more of a gap.
Oh, sorry to interrupt you right now, but Carl's trying to go for a move around the outside of Costas. He is on the hard Carl is, and then Costas is on those mediums compounds. He has pitted for the third time, and so has Carl. But Carl is rapidly faster. You can see it, how faster and slower that Costas is compared to Carl. And Carl's trying to get past. You can just see that he's dying to get past this Haas, who's a lot slower than him.
Yeah, he's the soft compound tire is that much faster here than the medium, so we'll have to see. He might be able to get him. I don't think he'd have enough time here to do it and not have enough space or track, should I say? But we might get him into the next lap. Oh, when he's hit the wall, that's Costas. That's going to cost him a bit of wing, and he gets the pass done. And that is a good move. It's a good bit of capitalization from Hilo. That's what gets you positions in tracks like Monaco, capitalizing on mistakes and being there. Just being there, sort of in the right place at the right time.
Exactly. And it's very unfortunate that Costas hit that wall, but Costas, as he comes back at Carl, now gets that P5 straight back of Carl, and now has that DRS, and now Carl has lost 1.2 seconds there to Costas, and I'm not quite sure what happened there, but we missed that
pass. I think I might have said that it was an illegal overtake and he had to let him pass.
Oh, that's not good then.
Yeah, because when Costas hit his wing on the corner barrier, it forced Kilo to go slightly straighter on, and it might have said that that's off track limits of the overtake, and so he'll argue he was forced off because what's he going to do? Drive straight into the Haas? But yeah, maybe have to get the position back. But he's got it back now.
And now the move is done for P5, and now is done and sealed. Carl up into P5 once again. Kostas, I'm sure, will be looking to try and gain that. Those softs don't last for long. So Carl, who has not even used any softs, sure has more in the chamber. And Jamie, no, wait, it's not Jamie.
It's not Jamie, it's a Haas.
Tyrone has now could potentially cause a safety car. We do not know just at this current moment in time, but if it does, this could really benefit Charlie.
It could, yeah. And it could benefit Harry as well.
Oh, and that's definitely on track. That has definitely got to be a safety car. I'm not quite sure why that is not a safety car. That is unsafe, and that needs to be a safety car. And for some reason, that was cleared off. That really should have been a safety car. Not quite on there. I'm sure Charlie would have been begging for a safety car, but this is, I'm sure, in the eyes of Harry, he would be absolutely loving this because there's no safety car and it will not screw him over.
Yeah, I mean, it would bunch up the pack as well, so they'd both have options on going to whatever tire they wanted, and having a safety car this early would actually probably benefit Charlie because he could pit onto the hards, which would last him longer than Harry's medium change because he can't pit onto another set of hards because I'd mean he'd have to pit again onto a different set of tire because you have to pit onto two different sets of tires, and so Harry's he's probably thinking close call after that. I'm not sure why it wasn't a safety car, to be fair with you, because it took up half the track. But
yeah, that car was in a very. I would understand if it was in the runoff area, but it was not. It was literally right on the corner, and it was very unsafe. You saw the wheel was detached, the left front was detached, and it was very unlucky for Tyrone as he finished last race in P10, I believe. I can't actually remember, but I know he finished race his debut with points for the first time, but he will not be getting points today. But the two Rebels now out in front still, and for some reason, as those tires have got the older the tires got for Charlie, he still managed to pull the gap away. And, I'm now looking at it. His lap 11 was a set. Well, wait. Yeah, it was lap 11 was a 17.4, and then the following lap after that, a 116 flat, a 116 flat, a 116.4, 116.1. So let's see what Harry's currently doing. He's lapping a lot slower than his teammate by like a good couple, like half second, 6/10 slower than his teammate. So this time Harry put in a 16.6, and that I'm just assuming that he's trying to nurse these tires. And we see Charlie now get a 16.2, which is, I think that's 4/10 of a difference. 4/10 of a difference. Sorry. Let's see what Bradley's currently doing. He is currently lapping the same as Harry at this moment. It was a 116.1 on lap 15. Now was it's 5/10 down and it was lap 16. But so at the moment the pace has sort of dropped off there for and Costas. Both Hasses have retired. This is now definitely got to be a safety car. There is no way this isn't. There is literally nowhere for this guy to park at this current moment in time, as we see Jamie about to pass the Haas as it's going extremely slow through the corners. What is he doing? I'm sure he's going to pull over at some point, but I don't know what's going on at this moment. But I think now, he's definitely pulled over now. That is an end to that other Haas's race. So both Haas's DNFing, getting no points at all this race. This brings Carl back up into P5, and I think still in P5. But now, Charlie is in the pits, and this has given Harry the lead now of a 12-13. It will rise a little bit more, probably about like a 13.3, and this has given Carl a great opportunity to potentially fight. Oh, and Bradley, is this? Yeah, Bradley's going to front wing change. So is this Carl that's fighting him?
I'm not.
I'm not. What's going
No,
on?
it's Kilo. Yeah, it's Carl. I believe he's been lapped. He must have been lapped. Yeah, he's been lapped. Okay. because he's a minute and 3 behind.
This is so weird. I mean, I'm not entirely sure. Jamie
I'm not sure.
9.8 behind the next Red Bull car, which is Charlie. Very odd.
Yeah, he's been lapped, I think.
Yeah,
Because of his multiple pit stops, he would have been lapped by that point. So this will be Kilo trying to unlap himself from Charlie. We'll have to see if Harry can pull up a bigger than 13.5 second gap, because I don't think it will be enough to get him clear of Charlie. But then he'll also think that I'm on softer tyres. Like, he'll be on the mediums coming in. I don't think he'll pit now anyway. I think he'll pit maybe like 24, 25, I'd say, and then switch to the mediums, and just hope that those medium tyres give him the pace to overtake Charlie.
So the game is now on for Charlie and Harry, but also for Bradley, who's now gone purple sector 2 on those softs. So he'll probably be setting the fastest lap of this race if he can hold this one together. But he is currently hunting down Jamie, but he will have to pit again, though, Bradley. He will have to pit again to, survive the end of this race and be able to get to the end. Jamie currently right now comfortably sat in P3, but the gap between him and Bradley is slowly declining between those two, as it is now 4.7. But the gap between Harry and Charlie is only increasing right now.
Yeah, I mean, this is good stuff from Harry. This is what I mean when I said that the lap. So now Passion Fruit's tires are a lap forward, and so now they're 2, but they were 1. And he was on the warm-up lap. He needed to try and keep up with Harry's pace whilst also trying to heat up his tyres a little bit. And in that lap, you're vulnerable because whilst your tyres are cold, you're not going to get the grip and the traction coming out the corners. Whereas Harry's already warm tyres are. So despite the fact that they're a lot more worn than Charlie's fresh ones, he'll have a lot more grip. And he had time. He had time to be gained there in that lap. And he did exactly that and just bumped it almost a second. He's gained... he's gone from 13.5 to 14.5 almost now. So he's gained a lot of time in that warm-up lap for Charlie. We'll have to see if he can maintain it before he boxes again. I think he should box about lap 23, 4, maybe 5. But we'll see if he has to pit sooner. That the front two, the gap has now gone up to a whopping 16.1 seconds. So Harry is really pushing now, and he's on lap 22, so it makes sense because he could box this next lap or the lap after. So he's just pushing these final tyres as hard as he possibly can. Build up more. Charlie's in the pits again. He's lost the wing.
Wait, oh no. What's this?
Oh,
definitely giving Harry the upper hand advantage now. And this is all in the hands of Harry now, as the gap was originally 16.5. Now will be a much larger gap between those two, and this is giving the race into the hands of Harry. And
Bradley's now DNF'd, and this has played right into Harry's hands here. He was already looking up and up on the overcar.
This is a safety car, and this is really worked out now, and this is about to bring the race in even closer between those two.
Oh my word.
Pitted onto the mediums, and it is just at the wrong time. This will be a dreamland for Harry, as he can now nurse those mediums just a few laps longer and, not have to push. But he will have to play this cautiously at the start, as his teammate will be on the mediums as well. But Harry will be on a lot fresher mediums as well. Oh, Harry got a drive-through for speeding under safety car.
Oh, my word. It's all happening here on the safety car. In fact, I would have said that this safety car is played into Charlie's hands now, actually. Not Harry's. I was mistaken before because, I didn't know. Actually, the race had switched to Harry's advantage because of the mistake made by Charlie, breaking his wing off, forcing him to pit. It was then Harry's race to lose. But immediately after that moment, Bradley had a moment and DNF'd in that chicane, which forced the safety car, and it switched it right back to Charlie's favour because now he's just pitted onto fresh mediums because he needed to anyway to replace the wing. And now Harry hadn't pitted yet at that point, and so he's already switched from, I believe it was mediums to hards, and then because of the wing damage, switched from hards to mediums again, and then the safety car got brought out, bunches the whole grid back together, And now both Harry and Charlie are both on fresh mediums. So essentially, Charlie's got a free pit stop out of it, like without costing him anything.
When we thought it costed Harry the most, it's now costed Harry even more now because of that speeding under safety car. He
Yeah.
gets away with it just before as he enters the pits. But when you play that kind of game, you kind of face that kind of situation. And now Jamie with a 3 second corner cut, and so the only person who doesn't have a penalty is Charlie at this current moment in time. Then this has sort of really played into the hands of Charlie. When we thought for a second that this could play into the hands of Harry and potentially get his first win, he still can get his first win as he has to serve a drive-through, which if I'm
It's not going to happen, I don't think. I mean, he might
he
get
does.
P4, sorry, P3 even, because Kilo's a minute and 15 behind with a 3 second penalty. But as we all know, you can't serve that drive-through under safety car. So he has to wait till the safety car comes in and it's green flag conditions to then be able to go into the pits and serve his drive-through. And at that point, it's essentially race over, race ruined for Harry, because he'll have to just settle for either P3 or P4. And it's actually done quite well for Jamie now. It's instead now become a race between Jamie and Charlie. If there is enough time before the safety car comes in, before the pack to fully bunch up, which, it's looking less likely at this point.
Just though that Charlie does have to push his tyres to be able to get to the safety cars. Harry is practically saving tyre wear, whereas Charlie is pushing his tyres, so he can literally be right behind Harry under safety car. So you'd think that his tyre wear is going to be a lot more greater than what Harry's is at the moment as well.
Yeah, I don't know. They're both on pretty much the same tyre. Charlie's has 2 laps old and Harry's has 1 lap old. It's just that the mistake to lose the wing, it made it so that he's now switched to 2 different types of tyres and he's still on the mediums. So he's essentially raced the entire race on mediums because the hards that he did 3 laps on he needed to get rid of anyway because of his wing damage. But the safety car that got brought up by Bradley DNFing has gifted him that pit stop. And so now, like the 1 lap difference in degradation is not going to do much really, and especially since Harry's now got the drive-through, I don't know. It's a race ruined for Harry.
Yeah, this might give, if Jamie can drive fast enough, he can potentially get right up to the back of Charlie and the Mercedes of Carl, and this could really play into the hands of Jamie as well. Sorry, if I said anyone else's name, I do apologize, but I meant Jamie. But yeah, this looking really good. He's only 13 seconds, and he's definitely be right there, right under safety car. So even if the safety car does come up under the lap, Jamie's the real winner here because his tyres are really warmed up, and he only has to deal with it for about like 5-6 corners.
Yeah, I mean, has he caught up? Are they all bunched up now? He has.
To be 40.2 seconds, he's right there. You can just see him.
Yeah, see him in the background. Yeah, no, yeah, he's caught up, and this is what I mean. And so Jamie has 1 lap fresher tyres than Charlie does now because he was also, I believe, on the hards like Harry was. And so this has now become Charlie versus Harry to Charlie versus Jamie now. And to see if Jamie can push it. It's essentially a restart. Jamie does have a lot of work to do because he needs to all safety car in this lap. He needs to really handle a 3-second gap.
Yeah, Charlie was playing it really risky in front of Carl, slowed him right down. Carl almost went into the back of him there, but Carl able to react quick enough to not go into the back of him. And under safety car is really risky because you don't know whether the car in front is going to touch or go. And Harry there, he's just slowing down. He's going to wait until that last second to really. And look what Charlie's doing, and that's giving Harry a great advantage, and he's played straight into mind games with Charlie there, and it was great stuff. His teammate tried passing him on the straight because he thought he was going to go. Harry was like, what are you doing? I haven't crossed the line. And then Charlie had to give the position back, and that's when Harry went, and that is a great strategy there for him. Played straight into the hands. Carl has spun under safety car restart. Carl he's practically sideways. He's practically road blocking the track now, but luckily no one behind him or in front of him, well, behind him to be really affected by it. But Jamie now only 9 tenths, 1.1 seconds now, should I say, the gap between between Jamie and Charlie.
This is it's just anyone's. I'd say it's anyone's. It's essentially now Charlie's race to lose because he's already built up a second gap to Jamie. So he's out of DRS when he does eventually get enabled. And Jamie has a 3-second penalty. So say even if he does manage to get past the next 13, 14 laps, you need to build up a 3-second gap, which is tough in itself. And with Harry's drive-through, he's coming out pretty much past after Kilo. So you never, or like close to where Kilo is. So it is essentially Charlie P1 right now, Jamie P2, and then Harry and Kilo 3 or 4.
So talking about that, last lap, Harry was lapping in the 114s. Let me just check real quick. I believe he was lapping in 114.9 and his teammate 15.7. Yeah, so Harry was about almost 8 tenths quicker, 7 to 8 tenths quicker than his teammate on that last lap, and that's really proved differential between those two, because Harry needs to really build up a massive gap to be able to maintain this P1. Obviously, it's going to be a bit of a challenge for him. He's going to have to drive through the pits and deal with his penalty when he's told to. So so if he's told to do it on the first lap, then it'll be great, because then the longer he leaves it, the more he gets affected by it. So yeah, it's probably best that he comes in and does it when the team says to.
Yeah. I don't want to say he's racing for pride, but he is at this point, because that drive-through has completely ruined his race. Once he serves it, as I said, he'll be competing with whether he comes out ahead or behind Abdi. So you don't know at this point whether it depends what's going through Charlie's mind right now, actually, because he'll be thinking, right, I've got an easy win here with Jamie already 3.5 seconds behind him with a 3-second penalty. But we literally just saw, after he was cruising the whole time, he's made a mistake and lost his wing. And if that happens again, it brings Jamie into contention for the win immediately. And it brings Harry and Kilo into contention for taking a position up, because he'll have to pit if he does choose to.
Yeah, just remember though, Carl is a lap down to the drivers out in front of him. So really, if that did happen, it could potentially bring Harry into the win.
Has he already been lapped? Did he not unlap himself in the same?
Harry is now in the pits. He has decided to pit now, and this is the time pitting. He is going to do a drive-through, so he won't lose as much time as when he goes to pit. So he should only roughly lose about 20 seconds, maybe more, 25. So let's see what he is now to out the next car in front. Sorry. If the gap would like to work, here we go. So 7 seconds is the gap to the next car in front, which is Jamie. So he now really has to turn his game up now, and he has to do this within 10 laps. The gap is 6.9 seconds, Jamie. Within 10 laps, he needs to get past him. So he needs to be gaining a tenth at least, maybe more every lap. And Carl now, once again, spun in the same section, just a corner beforehand. And Carl is not having a good weekend. But the gap was, I think, 6.5. Now it's dropped. I think that Harry's running a bit more of a little bit more of a straight line speed set up. I would say he's favoured a bit more straight line speed, and that's what you tend to see with Harry a bit more. I think I remember talking about this with Dan, and Dan's mentioned something to Harry. Harry mentioned something to Dan, saying about how he prefers to have a certain setup on each track, and I can't remember exactly what it was, but I think he prefers more front end or more rear end, one of the two, either way. But if that is the case, then what would you prefer more of, the more rear or front ended?
Probably rear here, just because you don't want it to step out. But it's all about getting that downforce balance, like, okay. Do you know what I mean? So yeah,
Yeah, I agree with you on that. Well, to be honest, when I was practicing round here, doing practice, I thought the rear end was a bit stepping out a bit too much, even with running, high downforce front wing and a little bit lower. I really felt that you had to fight the car a lot more to really, you know, to be able to really maintain the rear and keep it in place. But yeah, I mean, for me, the past several tracks, I have preferred more front end than I have rear end.
fair enough.
It
Yeah,
helps. Yeah, I feel like it helps maintain. Well, I can enter corners a lot more smoothly. I don't have to fight the car vigorously to, get it turned in well. And I just feel like I'm able to maintain the speed that I require and want when I come out of the corner.
yeah, fair enough. Um, just looking at the gap now, it's closed from 7 to 4.8. So um, between Harry and Jamie, should I say? So he is closing slowly. He now does only have, what is that? 8 laps, 9 laps to do it. So
Got like 8 laps left to, really get his game on and to, push as hard as he can now. He does have free reign of these tyres now and he can push these tyres to the limit. He's really taking care of it. So if anything, if anyone has the advantage, it is Harry in terms of tyre wear. He has that better tyre wear. He was able to stay behind safety car. Remember, Charlie was pushing hard to get to him, and so has Jamie as well. He's really had to push his tires as well. So I'm not surprised if Jamie's tires would be a bit shot. If I look at go tire wear, yeah. So no, if anything, Jamie has the same lap tires as Harry, but it could be that Jamie's tire wear is just greater than Harry's, but by the lookings of it, Harry could be really punishing those tyres right now. And, that's all right for now. But when it comes to the end of the race, is he going to have that tyre wear that he wants to maybe even get towards Charlie? The gap between those two, if I look at leader, is 8 seconds flat, exactly to Charlie. So can he really do that within about what's that, like eight laps, should I say?
yeah. Again, this will be interesting to see how the race finishes. I still firmly believe that it is Charlie's race to lose here. I don't see either of the two drivers catching him quick enough. But we'll have to see. He could just make another mistake. You never know.
Yeah, you never know. You never know when someone can slip up at any moment in time, and it can be crucial, So who knows? But the gap between Harry and Jamie now is 2.1 now. Wow, that was a lot of time gained into that from that corner on the straight. You can see both cars are harvesting battery. You can see their lights flashing red as they use up their ERS. Harry don't really have much left. He has really punched it after safety car to really get to where he is now. Even if he does, a P2 will be good for Harry in today's race. I can't remember the last time out. Harry did not get a podium in Austria after getting a penalty, as he was found guilty of holding up cars and was given, I think, a 10-second, maybe 20 seconds time penalty for holding up cars behind him to allow his teammate to get away. So when you go to watch, when last time out, when you watched Austria, you saw Harry get P3, but George was given that podium position out in Austria after Harry was found guilty of holding up cars and more than the required gap length to the car in front.
Yeah, I mean, apologies. I thought that Harry would cut a lot further back after the drive to. I didn't realize that Kilo was already. I
And
wonder why Jamie didn't contest that.
given that up. But to be fair, he does have a penalty, but Jamie gave up that position without really any fight. He just pulled over to the side and just said, "Yeah, you can have it, buddy. See ya." and that was it. He didn't really give any fight. He has about 6 laps, maybe less now, like 5 to 6 laps now to get to Charlie. So you never know. If Charlie now flips up, this could really play into the hands of Harry.
Yeah. Sorry, I didn't know that Abdi didn't unlap himself during safety car.
Yeah, maybe I don't think the safety car really allowed it, which was a surprise, to be honest. Maybe I think if it was sooner, but I don't know why the safety car didn't allow him to unlap himself, which is quite a surprise. But even if he manages to stay out the walls and has the spins, P4 is still a good result for the team and for him in the championship as well. Sure, it won't be a good day, but I'm sure he'll be happy. Well, to have some good result from it. And as I see Charlie now slightly cut those corners a bit more, turns one Sandevort, and just on that last lap, as coming out on the final corner before starting this lap, he did touch that barrier a bit, so maybe could have that potential damage. As you've seen, the gap was 7 seconds. Now it's 5.3. Can Harry get to Charlie in time quick enough, because that gap is rapidly dropped, like by 2 seconds within a lap? That is crucial.
Yeah, this will be a very interesting contest here in the closing laps of this race. As to whether I'm still so like, do we know why Jamie gave up that place?
Yeah,
That contesting
a penalty, but he knew he was going to get past him eventually. It was just whether would he. I don't know why Jamie. I was quite surprised. I saw Jamie pull over to the side, and I just thought, what's going on here? But maybe Jamie just found that he didn't need to hold someone up when he wasn't in someone's race. He knew that he didn't really need to lose any time, even though the next car behind him is 1 minute and 16 seconds. You know, he wouldn't have lost that much time even if he did fight him. So it does. To be fair, either way, Jamie's going to come out with this with a P3 if nothing else happens now. About 4 laps left to go now of this race.
Yeah. Charlie's had control from the very beginning. In fact, he was sort of driving a smooth race. Harry was closing in, and he's just been very unlucky today. Granted, he was speeding in the pit lane, which I can't really say is unlucky, but so as to say that he has been unlucky in the sense that the safety car brought up by Bradley's DNF did screw him over a lot. Otherwise, I think he actually would have gone and managed the overcut and come out ahead of Charlie, or at least at the very least been able to contest. But other than Charlie's a mistake that led to him breaking his wing and luckily getting a free pit stop to rectify that mistake, I'd say he's driven a very good race.
Yeah, I do agree. Charlie has driven an exceptional race, and this has shown why he is the world champion of season 3 and why he could potentially get back into it. Even if he doesn't get the fastest lap, he has got pole, which is an extra point for him, which means if he does win today's race, it is 26 points for him. And I believe he just goes 2 points out in front of George for next race, and it'll be very spicy for the championship. And as he touches that barrier, has he got damage? He got awfully close. I know he made contact and rubbed wheels with it, but did he get any wing damage? Will this play a factor now? This is the second time he's hit a barrier or rubbed up against it, should I say? So only time will tell now if that damage has played crucial in this final few laps of the Monaco Grand Prix. You can see Harry, for some reason, I truly believe that his setup is made for the final, the middle sector and first sector, to be honest.
Yeah, God just does seem so much more stable and fast in those two sectors, doesn't it? But then he loses time in the third sector where he's not able to gain an overall advantage over the whole lap. But Again, I don't think it really matters too much at this stage because he's only got 2 laps left, and you're not going to cut 3.6 seconds off of speeding Charlie. Do you know what I mean? I think it's just both of them need to bring it home now, and Jamie as well. He'll be happy with the P3. And what did he start, like P5, 6, something like that? He did very well to get up into P2, I think it was, off the start of the race. And now, coming just behind the Red Bulls, that seemed in a league of their own. That seemed in a league of their own, to be quite honest with you, today. But it's been a good drive from all three of them. And Kilo, I mean, regardless of the fact that he is so far behind, he's kept it going.
Yeah,
and that needs to be
issues and spinning out. He's the only one out of the three others who have really stayed strong in terms of their incidences. So it's quite unfortunate for those guys to not finish the race. Carl has done really well. Even though he's a lap down to everyone practically. I'm sure he'll just take these points. It's an easy ride home now on the final lap. Now the gap is 2.8 seconds to Charlie, but I don't, unless Charlie makes a mistake now, this could be an easy run to the checkered flag for the man who could potentially grab his third win or go to get his third win in today. Let's see what Harry can do. Is he going to be able to catch him up fast enough? Will Charlie slip up in a certain corner? We will not know. But I don't know. It's looking very good for Charlie now. He's had this race under control. Even at times when, he had his broken front wing and then he thought all hope was lost. And then, he may get a drive through. So I'm sure he was delighted to see that and probably go on to get overtake in the championship now as he rounds in the chicane area now as he almost is about to come into the final corner of the Monaco Grand Prix. On the final lap into the final corner, the man who won last season's race in Monaco wins this race. Charlie wins the Monaco Grand Prix. Harry follows in second, and then will Jamie? Yeah, he'll finish in third place, and Carl will definitely finish fourth if he doesn't DNF. But this will be great stuff. Charlie now overtakes in the championship by 2 points now. He is now in the lead of this championship by 2 points. And this championship into round 8, we will go now. To Hungary is the next track that the drivers will race at. And I'm sure that'll be a good time. And George will be able to come back with a response, hopefully, and maybe have good time and overtake back in the championship again. But this is the first time this is the first time this season Charlie has taken the championship lead. George has had complete control so far. So as we now head to the podium, Harry is your driver of the day. Well fought for him to get back to P2. And here we now go to the podium now. We're seeing Charlie walk out for the third time this season and the top step of the podium now. We see Charlie celebrating his victory around the streets of Monte Carlo, Jamie following on the podium, and Harry also following second place as well, the runner-up spot. So, yeah, this is a great result for the Red Bull drivers, taking a 1-2 in qualifying and in the race. So this is great stuff for them.